All right, so picture this. You're finally boarding your dream cruise. You're excited. The family's excited. You're ready for the good vibes. The sun is shining. You got your camera ready. But then boom, man, you're hit with hidden fees. You forgot crucial items at the house. And then you realize you booked the wrong cabin. It's just not as big as you thought it would be. And it just sucks. And these aren't just rookie mistakes. They're cruise crushing mistakes. It'll ruin your vacation. And today I figured I'm just going to, go through a couple of things you need to avoid so you have a good one. So stick around because I'm going to break down the 10 cruise mistakes first-time cruisers make. And trust me, number 7, it'll save you hundreds. So let's dive in. Yo, my name's Griff from Ahoy365.com. If you're new here, what's good? But if you've been here, welcome back, Paradise Crew. Let's jump into the thing. Mistake number 1, listen, booking the wrong cabin. Here's the secret that cruise lines won't tell you. Not all cabins are created equal. 100%. Many first-time cruisers think, hey, I'll just go for the cheapest interior and I'll save a few bucks. But guess what? Here's the tea. Listen, if you're prone to seasickness, you get dizzy easy, nausea, booking low and midship is going to be your best bet to prevent that. If you choose a high deck forward cabin, it means you're going to be tossing and turning all night. You'll get sick. And if you love a view, but you're trying to save money, don't fall into the trap of just paying for a window view. Sometimes that's just like a tiny little porthole. Those suck. I'm really not a big fan of those. Plus, if you're trying to get some peace and relaxing, like if you sleep under a pool deck or a nightclub, you're going to regret it at 2 a.m. It gets loud. So spend some time researching your cabin's location. And if it's your first cruise, a balcony cabin just might be the splurge for extra views and some of your sanity. So remember, your cabin is like your home away from home for the week. So you need to make sure it works for you. Sound good? So let's move on to mistake number 2. And that's not budgeting for those hidden costs. So you've paid for your cruise, right? The cruise is taken care of. The fare is taken care of. You think you're set. Wrong. First-time cruisers, they're often shocked by how many extra costs pop up from gratuities and specialty dining, Wi-Fi, drink packages. These hidden fees can add up low quick. So let's talk a couple numbers. Gratuities alone can cost you from $14 to $25 per person per day. A soda package, $10 to $15 per day, depending on the cruise line. Specialty restaurants, $30 to $50. I've seen specialty dining go up to $200. Listen, it can add up really, really, really quickly. So the fix that I've noticed is that you're just going to have to budget ahead of time for these types of expenses. Prepay the gratuities if you can. And some experienced cruisers, they like to give cash tips in person, but that's here nor there. We can talk about that in another video, but decide if you really need that drink package or that Wi-Fi package, and check for the cruise line's policy on bringing your own wine, soda. You might save a ton of cash. Plus, if you remember planning ahead, it'll keep your budget in check and prevents sticker shock at the end of your cruise. You know what I'm saying? So you really want to avoid that. Mistake number 3. This is ignoring travel insurance. And listen, I get it. Travel insurance, it sounds boring and an unnecessary expense, but let me paint like a picture for you real quick, if I will. You're on a cruise, you're in the Caribbean, and then suddenly, boom, tropical storm hits, and it just reroutes your trip. Nothing too crazy happens, but you were kind of banking on going to Aruba or going to the Bahamas, and now you're not. It's a huge bummer. Or maybe you get sick on board and you rack up medical bills that aren't covered. Small story, I had a friend, she hurt her ankle on a cruise excursion, but she had insurance and she technically got hurt on the excursion and they covered it, which is a total vibe. So she didn't have to pay anything out of pocket, which normally something like that would be very, very expensive. All right, so travel insurance, it covers trip interruptions. That's a huge one. Cancellations, medical emergencies, and even like evacuation costs. I doubt anything as crazy happens in 2020, but in case you got to fly out really quickly, they'll cover that. And honestly, for a price of a couple fancy cocktails, you get a peace of mind. Many first-time cruisers skip it because they think, what could possibly go wrong? And honestly, a lot. But seasoned travelers, they know it's not about expecting the worst. It's just about being prepared for the worst. So do yourself a favor, just add the insurance to your cruise budget. It could literally save your vacation and your wallet, FYI. Mistake number 4 is just packing wrong. There's 2 sections to this. There's overpacking and there's underpacking. Let's jump into it. So packing for a cruise seems easy, right? But here's where most first-timers go wrong. Either they bring too much or they bring way too little. So let's break it down into overpacking. All right, so overpacking, it's tempting to bring your entire closet. I've made that mistake before in the past, just in case, if I might need this thing. But first-time cruisers often pack multiple outfits for every day, shoes for every occasion, and then bulky extras like snorkel gear, formal wear they may not even use. But listen, family, the reality is your cruise cabin is limited space. They have tiny closets and minimal drawer space. Some are a little bit bigger, but it just depends on the cabin. Plus, I mean, you'll probably spend most of your days in swimwear and comfy clothes, resort wear, flip-flops, stuff like that. I mean, so overpacking means you're wasting time managing stuff instead of enjoying the ship. And hauling heavy luggage through embarkation day and disembarkation day, no thanks. It sucks. Here's my tip. Plan your outfits ahead of time, stick to versatile pieces, and pack smart. Trust me, you'll thank me later. But that gets into my next point, is underpacking. On the flip side, some folks go too minimalist, thinking I'll just buy what I need on board. Terrible idea. Do not do that. Cruise shops are expensive, and they often don't carry your favorite essentials that you're going to need anyway. And buying stuff like seasickness meds, sunscreen, formal attire, it's going to leave you scrambling, and there's often an extra inflation on items like that. So it's just priced more than it would be on land. So it's best to pack those things before you get there. Also, make sure to pack items like power cubes, not power strips. Those aren't allowed. And it'll give you some extra outlets because, you know, you're bringing your devices and stuff like that. Pack a light jacket or a sweater just in case it gets chilly indoors or a little windy outdoors. Listen, if you need a packing guide, my wife has put together a list of 51 things that make our cruises much, much easier, and it's not filled with a bunch of junk. These are things you actually need. So go check it out after this video, or I'll just put it right here. Sound good? Let's continue. So here's a big one that catches tons of first-time cruisers off guard. Every night, your cruise line is going to give you a daily planner or app schedule packed with the next day's activities. But too many cruisers just glance at it and they just toss it aside thinking, I'll just figure it out tomorrow. Huge mistake. So listen, the planner is going to be your key to maximizing your cruise experience. It's got list of dining times, shows, exclusive events, excursions, and even sales. That's a total win. So for example, if you're into shows, you might miss out on prime seating for the Broadway style productions because you didn't make a reservation. And you don't want that to happen. So, or maybe you want to take advantage of the free wine tasting or the spa seminar. Those do fill up fast, you know? So you just got to keep your head on a swivel. Even little things like happy hour deals, trivia, poolside games, things that are on the planner, you just really want to pay attention to. And if you got kids, there's tons of activities for them too. So you just want to stay top of mind with like meet and greets, characters, fun games for children. It's the go-to thing to make sure that you have. Honestly, it's a cruise, so you can totally chill out and not do anything. But trust me, the easiest way to avoid FOMO is just to have that knowledge of whether you want to go or not, right? So mistake number 6 is just people are booking the wrong shore excursions or not booking them at all. So let's break it down. So let's dive into this classic rookie mistake. You get off the ship and you're walking around port and then you realize you really don't have a plan. You're wandering aimlessly while seasoned cruisers are just off snorkeling with sea turtles, ziplining through the rainforest, enjoying private beach clubs, or even worse, man, you booked a cruise line excursion thinking it was the easiest choice only to find out yourself in person that it's a huge group with just rush timelines, long lines, lots of people, everything's overpriced, and it is not the vibe at all. So let's just give you an example of how you can make a solution. Say you're visiting Cozumel. Many first-time cruisers, they'll book the cruise line's beach day excursion. They'll pay $150 per person for a crowded beach, average food. But savvy travelers, they will just kind of discover a local gym, find a local beach club, and they'll pay for half the price, sometimes $60, and you get all-inclusive drinks, food, private cabana if you want a little bit of extra. Or in Jamaica, instead of booking through the cruise lines, you know, standard Dunn's River Falls excursion with 40-person bus, it's fun, but it's a lot of people. You can go almost private or semi-private, do small groups for half the price. I love working through Shore Excursions group. Listen, they're not paying me to say this, but they give you up to 40% off, and sometimes they will give us a kickback if you book through them. Again, it's your choice. You go check out the excursions if you like. I'll link that solution to you in the description box below. And if you still don't believe me, you can check out some of my past videos of Shore Excursions with Shore Excursions group. They really do a good job, and it's small group, so it's a vibe for me. Let's continue. But the worst part is working with shore excursions that like aren't reputable companies. That does exist even in the States and internationally. And so it looks like this. Let's say you're researching excursions ahead of time and you've read some reviews and then you book a company and they just don't get you back to the ship in time. Unfortunately, you will miss it. So if you really don't want to miss a ship, so research excursions ahead of time, read real reviews, and consider booking with reputable third-party operators. They just like make sure they're getting you back to the ship on time. That's the key to a good experience at the fraction of the cost. So that's, of course, without missing the boat. Trust me, a little homework goes a long way. Let's jump into mistake number 7. I'm wrapping this sucker up, I promise. That's forgetting the budget for the drinks and the dining. So you might think your cruise is all inclusive, but guess what? It ain't. Many drinks and specialty dining options are extra, and first-time cruisers get hit with these unexpected charges for sodas, fancy coffees, and even certain restaurants when they just tap their card. And so let's say you got the drink package, but it's not exactly what you think. They're often only worth it if you plan to drink multiple cocktails a day. Here's where it gets kind of sneaky though. So cruise lines now offer like a basic drink package and a premium drink package. And it's just really a fancy name for bottom shelf and top shelf with a twist. So you think you're covered with basic package, right? You think you're going to get the good stuff. Maybe the smoked old fashioned, the craft cocktail you really wanted for dinner, like a fun mojito. They're kind of hidden in these premium tiers sometimes. So instead, you're stuck with a basic beer or Jack and Coke, which ain't no problem with Jack and Coke. I'm just saying, if you really wanted that fancy nightcap or to explore your palate with like fancy cocktails, you're going to want to make sure that you're down with the right drink package. Decide if the premium is worth it for you and your taste, or just skip the package entirely if you're not down with that and just enjoy a few a la carte drinks, especially if you're not a big drinker. Sometimes I will just skip on the drink package and maybe spend, $50, $100 on drinks throughout the week, getting some fancy cocktails. But I'm letting you know, I was on Celebrity Beyond. It was like $25 for a smoked old fashioned. It's those scenarios where you're like, dang, this drink's really good, and I wish I had the drink package. But there's also instances where you're just like, man, like if I known the smoked old fashions weren't included in this basic drink package, I would have just got the premium drink package. It's an extra $10 a day. So now you're spending an extra $300-$500 on drinks because you want these fancy cocktails when you could have just spent an extra like $25 a day across a 5-7 night cruise. Just kind of getting where you fit in on that. Mistake number 8 is just not considering off-season travel. Most people book cruises during peak times like summer or holidays. That's going to give you a super crowded ship, higher prices and less availability for excursions. It starts to just stack on each other with problems, But I mean, if you book early enough, it's not an issue. I'm just saying first-time cruisers often don't realize that traveling during the off-season, like late January, early February, or even like a shoulder season, like early fall, can save you hundreds of dollars. I mean, you'll get lower fares, fewer crowds, and sometimes better weather, depending on certain ports, obviously. But plus, staff tends to be more relaxed, making the experience much smoother, nicer. So the fix is, if your schedule is flexible enough, look into off-season dates. Not only will you save money, but you'll also enjoy a less crowded ship, more relaxed experience. For example, if you book during spring break or during summer, you're going to get a lot of kids or a lot of drunk party goers. You just kind of like get in where you fit in. Mistake number 9 is just falling for onboard sales traps. Listen, the shops and the services on board can be very tempting. Really. Who doesn't want that fancy spa treatment, new watch, special souvenirs? But for first-time cruisers, they often don't realize that these onboard shops are just designed for impulse purchases. They are very good at their job. They will close you on some sales. And the prices are inflated, higher than what you would expect back on land, just as an FYI. So, for example, the art auctions. Personally, I feel like they're a big trap for cruisers trying to bring home something special, and often for much more than it's actually worth. So, my tip is just to, consider putting it yourself at a budget. And if you want to do the spa treatments, what you can do is go on port days. Typically, they're a little bit cheaper, discounted rate because everyone's enjoying the ports. So if you see a port that's really not something that's your cup of tea, I'm not trying to throw shade at NASA, but a lot of people say that NASA's kind of worn out and overdone. So, that's probably one of the ports you can consider doing the discounted rate at, just as an FYI. All right, number 10, this was an easy one. If you stick around, I'm going to give you a bonus because I think it's important. So skipping the muster drill, that's a mistake. Don't do that. It's going to prevent the ship from taking off and you end up looking like a huge jerk because they'll call your name over the announcement, the intercom. It's not fun. It seems like it's not a big deal, but it's crucial for your safety. Some rule of thumbs here. First-time cruisers, they try to skip it. And the problem is when there's an emergency, like it is a big formality that you're just going to have to follow. Some people, again, they zone out and that's a big mistake. Like you really need to know where the heck you're going in case there's an emergency. I know you've seen the funny TikToks of like the person wearing the life jacket not want to get off the ship. Listen, don't be that person. Just know where your emergency center is at. So, and it's quick. Cruise staff usually monitor your attendance and you won't get a drink or leave port until everyone's participated. So my advice is show up, pay attention, take it seriously, get in, get out. It's quick. And it's just important for your safety. And it sets the responsible tone for your trip. You know what I mean? Like, where things are at. But I promised I was going to give you a bonus tip, and I think it's a good one. Like, here it is. It's something that leads into everything like a cruiser needs to know personally, and that's how to pack smart. Trust me, packing wrong can lead into extra fees, forgotten essentials, unnecessary stress. But listen, don't worry. We've got you covered. I want you to check out this video made by my wife. It's 51 cruise packing hacks that you wish you knew sooner. I wish I knew sooner. It's pretty solid, and she'll show you like exactly what to bring, what to leave behind. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So we'll see you over there, right?